Good morning. This is Wendy Gaylor, CEO of the Bedford Area Chamber of Commerce, coming at you with Chamber Vibes this morning. And we have a special guest here with Casa, and it's Kelly Diaz. And I'm so excited that she's come on today to talk about events, programs, and also all about Casa. And she's been in her role for 2 years. She came in at 2019, right before the pandemic, as recruitment and development coordinator. And she's worked for nonprofits for years, but previously she was with the Daily Bread, Lynchburg Daily Bread. And her passion is people. And she loves to meet new people and hear their stories and learn what she can from each person that she meets, and help those in need. And so she is in the exact right job, and her role allows her to indulge in the passions each day and every day and make changes in the lives of many, many children, which is so important right now, and especially in this pandemic that we're going through. And she's originally from Gainesville, Florida. Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you so much for having me.
I love your last name, and I love saying it. Diaz. It's so cool. But yeah, so thank you for coming today. Oh my goodness. What a wonderful, wonderful. It is one of my favorites. Seriously, Casa does change lives. It's so needed. And you are in the right job at the right time. Isn't that so exciting?
Yes, it is my favorite.
You're on a mission.
Nonprofit. And I'm so thankful to work for Casa. It is truly my favorite job that I've ever had. And to be able to be a part of what we do and what our advocates do is very exciting.
And you are changing lives, and you're saving lives, truly.
Truly.
And so tell us, we want to get to know you, a little bit more about you, so we know where you're originally from. And you've been in Central Virginia for 2 years, right? Since or did you? No, longer than that, because you've been.
I moved here in 2012.
2012. Okay. And what is your favorite part about Central Virginia?
Well, so my family is from Natural Bridge, Virginia, and visiting there when I was a child, I would always want to move here because that felt more like home to me than Florida ever did. So the moment I got the chance to come, I did. And I love the people. I love the seasons. I love how close you are to be able to get to some of my other favorite places like New York City and Washington, D.C. and things like that.
Yes. And now you can just hop on the train to go to both of those.
Yep.
So what is your favorite sport?
My favorite sport is college football and golf / golf. Yes.
So you're so cool.
My favorite sport to watch is college football, but to play is golf.
That is wonderful. How awesome. So, and of course you're doing golf. So we'll talk about that in a little bit, but let's talk about Casa and what it means, and what does an advocate do?
Sure. So CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocate, and we recruit, train, and support volunteers to be the eyes and the ears of the judge. They are advocating and giving abused and neglected children a voice in the courtroom. Most of the time, children are not able to go into the courtroom. So our advocates, they go in there and they provide the judge with a court report with all the information about that child that they have found out.
And how many advocates do you have right now?
So we just finished our fiscal year on June the 30th, and we had 86 advocates last year that served 246 children.
Gracious, that's a lot. And, again, so needed. Do you have enough advocates?
We are always in need of advocates. Right now we have 61 children on our waiting list in the 6 localities that we serve. And our goal is to have advocates waiting for children rather than children waiting for advocates, because we know how important it is for a child going through the court system to have a CASA volunteer.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about, how do you become an advocate, and how integral is the CASA program to the court system in cases involving the children's lives?
So to become an advocate, the first thing you have to do is attend an information session. We have a couple information sessions each month. We've been doing them virtually through COVID, but we've just now started doing them in person. Again, it's really important to have them in person, I believe, because you can really, get time to talk to people, and it's easier for them to ask questions. It's about an hour long. And it's kind of the history of Casa, the numbers, the statistics of Central Virginia, and what the role looks like for an advocate. So you attend one of those, and then you would submit your application. We do extensive background checks, reference checks, and then we do a screening process. And then we train you. So we have our own training class that we provide you, and we do 3 of those each year. They are anywhere between 6 to 9 weeks long, depending on the season. And then after that, you are inducted by one of our local judges, which is my very favorite part, in an induction ceremony that you can celebrate what you've done and what you're about to do with your family and friends.
What an opportunity, And so from start to finish, I hear you say that 6 to 9 weeks for the training. So if somebody was to say, they were interested from, let's say they said September 1 today that they were interested, how long would it take before they would become an advocate?
So we do 3 recruitment seasons. We are finishing this recruitment season on September the 7th, and our next one will begin in October for our training class that will begin in January. So it just kind of varies. All of that information is always on our website. All of our information sessions are listed, the way that you register for them. And you can always email me. I'm happy to do special information sessions for people who have not been able to attend one as well.
That's great. So 3 enrollment periods.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get those advocates ready for those children. And right now you've got 61 waiting. So it's very, very important to have those.
It's so important. We know that children who have a CASA are 50% less likely to re-enter the foster care system. And that number is huge. And we also know that they spend an average of 8 months less in foster care than children who do not have a CASA. So those statistics are really important. The stories that we see show us how important it is for children to be able to have an advocate. CASA was founded by a judge in 1977, and he was making decisions for children, and he didn't have enough information. So he looked out in the courtroom and he said, I see parents have a lawyer, there's DSS, but there's nobody here to tell me what this child wants, what this child feels, what this child needs. So he had this great idea of having court-appointed special advocates, and he had a focus group. And when he walked into the room, he was surprised that it was filled with people who were interested. And so he knew that he was on to something. And that was back in 1977. So the number of lives that have been changed because of that idea has been huge.
And I know, do you have any idea like how many children that you've had?
So we are about to serve our 5,000th child. 5,000th child. That's hard to say. But yes, so we are consistently one of the largest programs in Virginia. It's not a title that you want to have because that means that is a lot of need here. But yes, we have served 5,000 and we've been here for 32 years.
That's a great story. And truly the lives are changing, and they certainly are making such a difference for them. And so you talked a little bit about what a difference the advocate can make versus not having an advocate. Mm-hmm. You want to share any story? I mean, no names, obviously, but a story.
Yeah, so I have one story that I can share with names because she is actually such an ambassador for CASA now. And it's actually a story from Bedford County. One of our advocates here, his name is Darnell, and him and his wife, Renee, are both CASA advocates, and they're just dynamic. But back on his first case, there was a young boy named Maddox who had been found by a Walgreens employee in the parking lot with his mother who had overdosed on drugs. That child was subsequently taken away from his mother and put into a foster home, and Darnell was assigned as his CASA. Throughout the process, Darnell, as he was advocating for Maddox, which is the number one job, he also was watching Maddox's mother and monitoring what was she doing? Was she doing what the court asked her to do? And she was. Every single thing that they would ask her to do, she would do it. And so he was a champion for her. And she will tell you, we have a YouTube video of her. Her name is Ashby. She will tell you that while everyone else looked at her as a junkie, that Darnell looked at her as a mom. And as a mom who wanted her child back. And by doing all of those things, her and Maddox were able to be reunited safely. And she's doing really well now. Maddox is doing well. They stay in contact with Darnell. And it's just a lovely story. So we always encourage our advocates to think independently, to think objectively, because Darnell knew Maddox better than anyone else in that case knew him. And he knew what he wanted, he knew what he needed. And, it had such a great outcome. That's one thing we tell our volunteers. Every outcome is not going to be what you want it to be. It's definitely not like serving a plate of food to a hungry person or ringing the bell for the Salvation Army. It's a very long process. We want you to stay with that child from start to finish. We don't want you to leave that child in the middle of the case because everyone else has let that child down. And so it's important to us that you stay, that you don't quit. And sometimes, it'll be a great ending, and sometimes it won't be what you want it to be.
Yeah, and that it's a hard job, but you certainly are making a difference. And do you need volunteers from Bedford right now?
We need volunteers in every locality. Our Bedford volunteers, we have an office here in the Bedford courthouse with 2 advocate managers, and I actually spoke with both of them before I came on here and said, like, what do you want me to tell people? And they just said, the Bedford volunteers are such top-notch volunteers. We have great diversity in Bedford, which is really important. We have men in Bedford, which is something we really need, to be able to provide boys, especially with a strong male role model, with what a successful man looks like is very important. We need men in all of our localities. And then, the Bedford judges are so supportive of the Casa program. All of our judges are. But just recently, Judge Harrison looked at our Casa volunteer and said, I need you. I need you to tell me this right now to be able to make this decision. And so, we have such great respect for each one of our volunteers because they do heavy work. They do heavy jobs, and they do it and they work so hard. Some of our volunteers take on multiple cases at one time. And another one of our volunteers here in Bedford, she said to me recently, people will say to me, I couldn't do what you do because it's hard work. And she said, but I tell them what I do isn't hard. What the child does is hard. The child has to go through is hard. I'm just there to try to help that child and help this situation the best that I can. So we definitely need volunteers in every locality, and it's just such a rewarding volunteer role, such a unique volunteer role. Definitely not for everyone, but it will certainly change your life as you are given the opportunity to change the life of a child.
Yes, I can't agree more. And so you've got some events, and these, of course, help people to be aware of what you do also and how they can help, and certainly give money to the events that are coming up. But let's talk about some of those and how people can sign up. I'm sure your website and all different areas, maybe social media. But what's the first one?
So our first event coming up is our For the Kids golf tournament. We partner with Big Brothers Big Sisters for this event last year, but this year it is going to be so much bigger than it was last year. Last year was during COVID, so we kind of spread it out over 2 weeks where you could play as you wished. This is going to be a one-day event at London Downs, and Moore's Electric and Engineering is our ACE sponsor for that, and we're so thankful for that. We've had such great support from the community. We sold out of our registrations and our team registrations and our sponsorships, our larger ones, very quickly. So that's going to be a fun time. We're still accepting whole sponsors and prize donations for that. And then after that, we have our 7th annual superhero run, which is so much fun. Last year we had to do it virtually, and we were so thankful for the support because obviously a virtual race is so different than an in-person race, especially one where you get to dress up like superheroes. But our kind of tagline for that is every child needs a hero, but abused and neglected children need a superhero. And that's what we think our volunteers are. So that is coming up. Our theme is Black Panther. We have had a great response from the community for that as well, with sponsorships and registrations and fundraising. We've had 2 of our title sponsors are Centra and Simplematic Automation. So we're thankful for that.
And those dates are, your golf tournament is September
29th.
Mm-hmm. And then the annual superhero run,
November the 6th.
November the 6th.
Yes.
Everybody needs to mark their calendar and sign up.
Yes, it's a great reuse of your costumes. We always try to have it the weekend after Halloween so that you can get another use out of your costume. It's so much fun to see all of the people dressed up, and it's just such a great time.
And they still can sponsor and be a whole sponsor for the golf tournament as well.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Lots of ways that you can give and support Casa. We certainly support you. Thank you for being a member of our chamber. And we look forward to serving your business and helping any way that we possibly can.
Thank you. We are so thankful as well.
Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.